Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name's Sierra Steinmetz.
Brian Schubie.
I'm Carrie Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones Home Team.
And this is episode 54 with a bunch of new equipment. So we'll apologize up front here if something goes a little haywire here. So we should make it a little more interactive. You should be able to hear, see the stuff that we're going to share. We'll get right into it. Carrie, average list prices isn't going up. I think we can probably all attest to that, but we'll talk a little more in depth on that. Schubie's getting into Trump signs a Home Buyers Privacy Protection Act into law, which we should know what that is. Is that already signed in?
Yes, September 25. Yep.
Sierra's fallen in love with real estate all again, and I'm going to bash on my favorite place, Zillow, I guess. So we'll go right back to that. They're getting sued again. So this is like the third or fourth time they're active lawsuits. So hang around for that.
Year for that.
Right. So we'll jump right into it. Carrie, what do you got?
The average list of price isn't going up, and why that matters. With more buyers coming on the market and having more to choose from, they aren't moving as quickly as they once were. And so today, what they're doing, a lot of home sellers are still overshooting their price. They're seeing what was listed in 2020 or 21 when you could list anything, and they were getting multiple offers. They could literally put whatever price tag on it that they wanted to, and they were getting multiple offers. But that's not what's happening right now. So we have to readjust the market so that these buyers are actually going to pursue these homes, because otherwise we're just going to have houses sitting on the market, which I've talked about a couple of times. The shift is that prices were staying pretty competitive for a while, but in the last 3 years, there's been a steady pace of houses staying kind of the same, as where they're not. Home sellers are obviously dropping their price, but the list price, it has to stay competitive with the buyers. Otherwise, it's going to remain to sit there. So sellers can't keep trying to inch higher and higher. So in other words, like they saw that huge jump and they're like, oh, if I could just eke out a few more dollars, if I could probably get like another $3,700. I could probably get $4,200 more. But buyers understand that. Like they understand that some of these houses that are sitting on the market are just doing it because terms can't come together. You've had some, I've had some, we've all had some.
Oh, for
where
sure.
They're just sitting there because buyers have a realistic expectation, in my opinion, of what they think the house is worth. And before, where they had to jump or they didn't have anything to choose from, they would buy it. And now they're like, you know what, screw that. I'm not overpaying.
And a lot of sellers still have a lot unrealistic expectation of what the market isn't anymore.
Yeah. Or like let's just try it at this price.
Let's try it. And
oh
it's
my gosh, that's nonstop.
I have patience. I can wait. It's like you're gonna keep waiting, and then you're gonna.
And those are the ones that get mad.
And then they're gonna be mad at you when they can't get their house sold.
Yep.
So I have a little thing here.
You absolutely. As an agent, you become the target. Then it's not their house, their price, their condition of the house. It's you, the agent, not doing your job. Apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we can only keep pushing out an overpriced market or overpriced house so much in this market before the buyers are just going to go stale to that listing, and you're going to have to come up with a creative way beyond a price drop, because now it's like, well, what's wrong with the house?
Sure.
Nothing. It just, it was probably overpriced to begin with. And so now we're just hanging on, waiting to see if there is that unicorn buyer out there that's going to accept it the way that it is.
Right. It's like the billboard that you see over and over and over, and it never changes.
Never
you just kind of become blind to it then.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's a good analogy here. Homeowners who expect to buy more than or get more than their neighbors did last year. So like, oh, my neighbor got X, but also again, that was in that time frame where buyers were paying that.
And your house isn't your neighbor's house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Do you say it just like that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Insert eye roll.
Yeah.
If you want to sell today, you need to be in line with where the market is today, not last year, not the pandemic, today. So signs that your house is priced too high, you're not getting many showings, you haven't gotten any offers, or the ones that you have gotten are lowball offers. Buyers that come to see the house leave overly negative feedback. Your house has been sitting on the market for longer than the average in your area. So what's the solution? Even if you just, bought a house in the last 5-10 years, you're still above, where a lot of people are, because they do have that equity. So they're in a pretty good position if they do that they need to sell. I think I put it was a meme online, and it was basically like, your house isn't what you think it's worth plus what you put into it plus what you're hoping to get at the end. It's what a buyer is willing to.
I saw that. Did you post that? Yeah. I saw that somewhere. That
because if you think about it,
true.
When you
I need to walk away with this.
Every seller that you sit down and talk to, you know that they have a like, this is what I want, and this is what I absolutely have to have in order to make it work. We're looking for that number. So we know realistically where we're at. They always give us this number, or like somewhere like up here. And then as you're on the market 4 months, 6 months, whatever, however long it is, we get a little closer and to that original really like realistic. And I was that seller, Bill.
Right.
I know we had that same conversation.
You guys were pretty reasonable though.
Well, I guess that, several $1,000s, but it just felt like it was emotional for us to sell.
Sure.
And I think it was Todd Lillo put something about, my grandma painted that house and it's worth $10,000 more now because grandma painted it. And I'm like, well, it kind of sounds like you need to love it instead of list it. So maybe you can get a hold of a home equity line of credit or something.
Yeah, people aren't buying your memories or the nostalgia in the house.
That's so hard though.
Because your grandma's not their grandma.
But think about where you're at right now and where you're at, like there's some like legit memories being made within those walls. And it's really hard as a seller unless you are just over. And there's people that are just over and just like sell the house. Right. But then there's people that are like, man, I really like that place.
Well, the bad memories work in your favor sometimes too, if they're getting a divorce or something terrible happened, they're like, get out, I hate this house.
Start over somewhere new. Yeah.
Oh, that's
all I have.
I think that too, the recency bias we talk about a lot of times, interest rates, everybody's still waiting for 2.5% interest rates. And the same thing with the pricing from the seller standpoint. They just think, well, 2 years ago, the neighbor house sold for way more, but it's not the neighbor's house and it's not 2 years ago. It's today. So that's tough. So what's the solution, Carrie? How do we get them to
know
see
your market?
Reality?
Know your market. As an agent, and I'm talking to myself here, looking in the mirror, like you have to have those hard conversations with your sellers from the get-go. And I finally was like, you know what? No, like if buyers are putting their foot down, that's going to make me look ignorant. That's going to make me look like I'm pricing us out of the market. I'm putting my foot down and say, this is what's going to happen. You're going to list it, within your budget, but I just want you to know realistically, this is what we expect.
Right.
Ballpark, estimate, because
how many times have we been
going into the market thinking that just because we list it, whatever we list it, that's what they're going to walk away with.
They're going to get at that. And we've been wrong too. And I've said it tables end too, or sometimes you're like, no way, you're not getting that much money.
180 grand for that? No way.
They list with somebody else and by God, they get it then. So then I tell people now I've kind of learned, like, I will gladly be wrong, I guess. I'm suggesting X. If we go with Y, I don't think you're going to get it. I have that one down the road here we've all worked on too. It's they know it's too high. I think they just need to come to the conclusion that that's where it is. And
especially with multiple offers that are all reasonable offers.
We've had 7 offers exactly where I told you it should be, and you're still here. So that's tough.
Well, at least you didn't get one at 50% off price like I did.
Right. All right. So we'll keep hammering that home as best we can. And again, we don't have crystal balls either. I mean, all we can do is look at the data, look at our experience, and suggest a price.
Time on the market. Like we're not, and it's not, as an agent, we're not marketing the crap out of that house. We're not doing everything and getting in front of every single buyer that we possibly can.
Sure. All right, Shub, what are we into? Trump signs. Is there anything to share on the screen here for that one? Okay, all
right. So President Trump signed the Home Buyers Privacy Protection Act into law. This, I guess, took place in September, so this month. The bans limits the practice known as trigger leads. So trigger leads are when a potential home buyer applies for a mortgage.
Excited about this. Sorry.
Okay.
I know what this is now. Okay.
Home buyer applies for a mortgage or shows interest in one, and their personal/financial information is automatically sold or shared with other lenders or brokers, often without the borrower's knowledge. So I guess this would be like you apply for a mortgage and all of a sudden everybody and their brother starts calling you, hey, we saw or we heard that you may be in the market to buy a home or sell your home or refi or whatever you're doing. And it would automatically trigger, that information to be sold.
And they just get hammered with phone calls then. Yeah, that's insane.
So the new law sets guardrails around when, how, and what borrower data can be shared then. So why is this important to consumers? So it stops lenders or brokers from using consumer data in ways people don't consent to, helping protect sensitive information and identity information. Obviously less unwanted solicitation that the buyer is not expecting, more transparency or control, and fairer competition then. So I'd say pretty big step in as far as helping protect the consumer and their information, and obviously not getting your phone blown up for 2 weeks after you apply for
and
a
I think it is like
or,
that. It's something insane. Yeah, because it gets around like all the do not call list then too, because when they'd hit that list, that would open the door for solicitation for whatever reason. They would just get bombarded anytime they refi or a purchase offer. I know some of the lenders would, in their system, would purposely put in the wrong phone number for somebody when they pulled credit, because that's when the trigger is. They'd pull credit and then it'd go to whatever database and it would say, Bob Smith's looking for a loan, and then every Rocket
Sure.
Mortgage in the world would just start blasting them with phone calls. So the lenders would incorrectly, they weren't supposed to do this. They put the wrong phone number in so that they wouldn't get that. And then they have to go back in their system and readjust the number, which again, save that person from getting called. Or they would say, okay, Bob and Betty, you are applying for a loan. I'm going to put your number in, but go ahead and register yourself on some website real quick just to avoid that, or you're going to get hammered with calls.
It's
They need
crazy.
to do that with health insurance and
all
vehicle,
of
car
all the
insurance,
insurances.
I think, too.
God, you do get them all day long. Like
yeah. Especially,
text out or
especially being
opt
self-employed, the health
yes,
insurance.
Oh my gosh,
so
yeah.
bad.
I mean, I was getting texts. I think I got a text yesterday on a Sunday from somebody. Hey,
Yeah,
just wanted to see if you were still interested in this
Yeah.
health insurance. And I'm just like, no. Like,
Yeah.
No, I'm
so
good. So is that all insurances, or this just
I think
home?
this is just the home buyer side. So this
Okay.
would just be on the purchase side.
So if you're doing shopping for auto insurance, you're still going to get blasted. Is that what
Probably.
that looks like? Yeah. That's crazy. All right. Well, that's I think good news. I mean, it sucks if your lead system was that, you know what I mean? If you're a loan originator and that was your bread and butter, you're looking for a new way to get leads, I guess. So
I guess that'd be, again, follow up. That lender needs to be following up with their past clients and seeing where they're at. So
right.
You better write down their number and pen somewhere, and not just in the system wrong.
All right, cool. Sierra, how are we falling in love with real estate here?
Okay. I want to talk about how listing or buying in the fall season, especially right around now, September, October, can be beneficial for buyers and sellers. Starting with buyers, I feel like we've talked about this before, how when school starts, we kind of have a lull in business because everyone's trying to get back into their routine, all that. Everyone's busy, sports, whatever. So as a buyer, that kind of helps you. You've got a little less competition coming towards you from having other buyers. That standpoint, as families and such are settling, they're not actively looking as much, and if you are dead set on trying to find a new place, you might be able to attack a little bit quicker than a lot of other buyers, especially in the spring summertime then. And then motivated sellers as well. Like if you are the buyer in that scenario and things are moving a little slower just because of the transition period, sellers are going to be perchance more motivated to take maybe an offer that you think is more fair if it's been on the market for a little while or whatnot.
Wait, who thinks it's fair?
Well, for the buyer.
Just get the deal done. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So ultimately, and then I know it kind of talks about this later as well, if everyone else is kind of in a lull, no one's as busy, that also files into lenders, inspectors, appraisals, stuff like that. They might be able to get through things a little bit quicker than before when you're in big rush season and everyone's swamped. It might be a little bit smoother from that ways. And I mean, if you're working with people that are of good value and good in their typical job, then that shouldn't really be a problem anyways. They should be giving you their best service, but again,
they just have more time to give you a better service, right? Yeah, the best service.
And then also going into like financial and tax benefits, if you can close before the end of the year, that's a whole other conversation as well. So yeah, a couple things for buyers that also kind of transpire onto the seller side. For the sellers, it's more serious buyers, not people that are, school's out, like, we've got time, like whatever, we can go look around. Like, no, these are the people that are not wanting to move right before the holidays or during the holidays. They want to be settled in by the time it's Thanksgiving, whatever. No one wants to have to, if you're in a place like Ohio, you don't want to be moving in the cold, stuff like that. So that kind of helps out as well with deadlines too. You might have a more serious buyer, but also buyers that are going to want to move things quickly, so that maybe they want to be able to host Thanksgiving, or they just don't want to have to be in the middle of unpacking and settling in while they're also in the rush of holiday season, whatever that looks like for them. And then I guess you could say less competition on the seller side as well. It goes both ways. If everything's moving a little slower, there might be less homes as well. And so then at that point, if you are on the market and you're priced appropriately, whatnot, you've got less going up against you if not everyone is also being able to take the time to list at the same time as you then. And then a little personal favorite of mine. I love when people kind of stage their houses, and maybe it's not even staging. Some people are just really good at decorating their homes for the holidays. So when
Not
you can,
me. My wife, yes, not
right,
me.
when you can show a house that's got beautiful, warm, cozy decor, and it really feels like, oh, this is a very lived in, very loved house. Like you could see yourself putting up the Christmas tree there. I had that happen once. It was probably our 6th or 7th home we'd been through, and right after we walked into the living room, she was like, oh my gosh, like to her husband, she was like, this is where we could put the Christmas tree. It would be such a nice place. Mind you, it's like August, but I'm like, that's a really good
She's
sign.
ready for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
good sign if she's able to think.
I mean, that house I
ahead.
just showed this weekend, they did bring up the Christmas tree. They're like, I could put a Christmas tree in every window.
For
You
sure.
could. Let's do this thing.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. I feel like that is always, it's not the biggest thing, and obviously that's very time restricted
Until they go to set it
it's-
up.
Yeah.
And then they're like, where are we going to put a tree? So.
And yeah, I think it helps people kind of envision things a little better, especially when you have like, even if it's a vacant home to look at and see like, oh, this is what we could do with this and whatever. So yeah.
Sounds to me like you want to be an interior decorator.
I
Right,
would
you should
love
just add that
to.
to the list then,
All
too.
signs
Yeah,
point
yeah.
to.
I can see that because we like our house would show nice for Christmas and we decorate it nice. But if my home's on the market during Christmas, I really got to sell. There ain't no way I'd actually want to go through all that come the holiday time.
Absolutely.
But they say that's maybe not an ideal time to sell come Christmas. But if someone's still in the market, then they really need to sell. Same thing if a buyer's actually looking, they're pretty serious and wanting to buy, I would think. So
absolutely.
I just realized what you did there, the fall in love with real estate.
Yeah.
So that took me a little thick-headed on that. I'm like, oh, I see what she did there. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's you good?
Yep, that's what
all
I
right.
got.
I'm going to try to roll into here. We're going to try to do our first interactive here with this here. See if I can get this to pull up. If we go here, now hopefully you guys can hear. So this is not initially what I want to show here. We're going to get into Zillow here in just a second, but I want to get you guys' hot take on this here. So Jared James, I got a couple of videos by him. We talked about August 17th. Rules had changed from real estate that we now need a buyer representation agreement for any buyers that we're working with. Fear was buyers agents were going to be out of a job or there's going to be no commission available or anything like that. So they just had a recent study here. Hopefully everybody's able to hear this.
Okay, everyone, here we are 1 year after the landmark settlement in the real estate industry with NAR, where the settlements came down in order to protect the consumer. And since that time, what happened to commissions? Drum roll, they went up. And it just goes to prove to you, regardless of all the comments on videos from people like me and other people with all these people, telling everybody that real estate agents were out there fleecing consumers and hiding fees and doing all this stuff, that when all these new rules were put in place to make things more transparent, commissions went up because every option that was available to people post-settlement was available to them beforehand. Discount brokerages, doing things yourself, negotiating with your agent. It was all there, but it just goes to show you that in every area of our lives, at the end of the day, we don't always go with the cheapest. We go with the best, especially when it comes to selling the largest asset we're ever going to own. And this just proves that that is the case once again. And the real question becomes, at what point do we have some kind of an admittance or something from the attorneys in this case that they got what they wanted? They didn't really care about the consumer. I mean, that had nothing to do with it. They got the fees they wanted, and they got to move on and try to come back again and go hit other industries while everybody was pointing their fingers at the real estate industry. And now we're over here going, so what happened? What was the result of this? And at what point do we turn around and start to look at what was the result, or do we just take it and move on and act like it never happened?
Real quick then, so we looked at our numbers then too, and commissions indeed did go up just within our little world then too. So the consumer hasn't necessarily saved anything, but I like what he said too. I think people go for what they, for the perceived value then too. No one was forcing them to work with any one of us,
right.
Or it was just the way that the industry operated was the way we all worked in it then. But it all changed over a year ago at this point then too. And this whole lawsuit was to provide options, which were already there, was to save the consumer money, which it obviously seems like that's not what they're looking for. They were still looking for good representation to help them buy or sell a home, and they're willing to pay for it. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys, if you had any thoughts on that. I know I just kind of threw that on you here. I like the interactive part of it here then too, but it's, I feel like it's been a good thing overall for everybody. I think the agents are doing better. I feel like the consumers are better informed now. They probably have a better experience, a better understanding. No more sitting at the closing table like, well, how the hell are you getting paid? You know,
Right.
like, it's all
It's annoying to have to put that out there, but I said it before, I'll say it again. It definitely got rid of the tire kickers. And for me, that's a godsend, because with a lot of my initial calls being Zillow Premier calls, or, you know, just generic calls about, I just want to go see that house. I'm like, well, before you just jump in your car and hope to God they're pre-approved, then that you did the right, you know, pre-qualification questions with them before you get there. But this actually takes it a step further, and just how serious is your buyer? And then that makes us not look so forceful as agents, but like, hey, this is what we have to do now.
Yep.
So
you sit down and have a
I don't
conversation
hate
up front.
it. I don't love it. It's kind of a nagging thing to have to do it every time, like homework or something. You know, that feeling of
It sucks,
having
like sticking documents in someone's
in
face
somebody's
the second you
face.
meet
But
them,
it's
yeah.
almost like a ground break, or like what do you call it? Like a conversation starter of sorts too.
Yeah.
Because if you do it within your appointment, but like not the second they step out, I'm like, hey, this is really what I'm supposed to do. Hey, I know we haven't met yet. Sign this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
that,
pay me money.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that can be kind of a laughing, you know, kind of get to know each other in that moment, that, you know, I understand that this is important, but this is important too. So
I agree.
I think it does make it the initial conversations harder, but I think it makes the whole process easier in the end. Then
I
too,
agree.
just to kind of set the expectations.
And build
Everybody knows
rapport
what.
with your
yes,
with
absolutely.
your people.
But it's hard then too, especially when things are moving fast. Like, I want to see that house. Okay, great, but let's take a minute here to kind of go over some things and figure out what that is. And we've said this 100 times. They don't care. They don't care. They just want to get in the house.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't want to just throw something in front of them to have them sign it then. Okay, so part of that, kind of leading into that, so Zillow getting sued once again here. So alleged deceptive flex agent tactics. So we've talked about this before. I'm going to go back to my guy, Jared James here again. He had another little quick hot take here. See if we can hear that. I think here it is. I don't think this one's real long. I know we're kind of
Okay, guys,
short
we
on
have
time
big
here.
news in the real estate industry. As one of the original law firms that sued the real estate industry in the class action lawsuit for billions of dollars is now suing Zillow because of their Zillow Flex program. And basically what they're saying is that because of this Zillow Flex program, commissions in the industry are being artificially inflated, because when somebody goes on Zillow and they say that they want to talk to an agent, they don't know, it's not being disclosed, that they are being rerouted to a flex agent who's paying upwards of 40%, and the buyer doesn't know that. And now they think that that agent has to charge a higher percentage in order to make up that 40%. And so what they're saying is they think this should be disclosed, and because it's not, it's being artificially inflated. What do you guys think right here? It's going to be interesting based on everything we've seen. They probably have a case, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know below. Okay, guys, we have big...
Makes sense, right?
Right.
Because Zillow owned houses and they were selling houses with their agents, right?
Yeah. Well, so that was part of it. They were flipping homes. That's no longer in existence now. I think they've partnered with Redfin or someone like that to kind of take that over. But
so they're not talking about that. They're talking about the newest program.
So yeah, so they used to have they still have it, like what we do, or Zillow Premier agents. We pay to advertise with Zillow. We become one of those agents, but we've never like us. I can only speak to us as an office and as a team. We've never represented ourselves as working for Zillow or not disclosing that or something like that. Because how often do you guys get that? You get that conversation that they think you're the listing agent, possibly. Like they ring. Oh, I want to see that house.
Yeah.
Which house? You know, the one with the blue door.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know which one that is, you know, but they think we somehow know that, or we're just paying to advertise like we do on a lot of different websites and things like that. But they're saying Zillow is hiding that fact. What he's specifically talking about is a flex program. That's where they're partnering them with the agents. We're not paying to advertise. They're saying, here's this lead, Carrie, go sell it to this person. And then, oh, by the way, when they buy a house, you owe us a 40% referral fee then. So that's the flex program that they're suing over. So they're saying, again, like we were just talking about the previous NAR lawsuit settlement, that commissions are artificially inflated because of us not disclosing who's getting paid, is what the original argument. Now they're saying prices are still being artificially inflated because of the Zillow Flex partnership, which we personally aren't. Since there's that big chunk going to Zillow, that we're keeping prices up from that, or people are charging more, or the prices are artificially inflated because of that. So again, these same attorneys that sued the entire industry a year ago are now back again with this lawsuit now. So now a Portland home buyer has filed a nationwide class action lawsuit against Zillow, alleging the Seattle-based real estate giant uses deceptive practices to inflate commissions and home prices, going on to that 40%.
I guess no one forces the consumer to use.
Exactly.
Go to
That's like
Zillow's
somebody
website.
paying.
Like,
your
But-
iPhone, like somebody gets an
Right.
iPhone, they're paying super inflated price because they want that product,
Right.
even if it is a 40% markup in Zillow's world. I mean,
So the part of the contention is Zillow's the 800-pound gorilla in the room then. So since
maybe, but
since
if
they
it's putting
own
the
market
buyer
share,
in the consumer, like if they're putting them together, is that worth their 40%? I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, if the buyer and seller are happy,
sure.
could it be disclosed a little differently?
But,
Sure,
but their contention is everybody's a kindergartner and doesn't know any better and can't figure anything out for themselves. Even though we now are sitting down, or you should be sitting down and saying, "Hey, Sierra, here's this buyer's agreement. We need
don't care. Just
You're
give
going
me
to pay
in.
whatever this or that."
I want to buy a house.
At that point, you're not like, "Oh well, wait a minute."
If you
Bill-
don't like the commission, don't sign the papers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Negotiate the commission.
But me, the agent now, am I just like, well, crap, I got to pay Zillow 40%. Well, Sierra, you're going to pay a little. I'm not telling you anything, but you're going to pay a little bit more now because I need to cover that hit I'm taking now.
I mean,
which-
yeah.
Don't
to an
sign the
extent.
paperwork. Then if
Right.
you don't like the commission.
Brian, that makes
Right.
too much sense. You're being too logical
The
here.
whole
So
point of the buyer's agency was agreement, so the commissions
No.
could be
No,
negotiable, which they
no,
were
that's-
before.
no,
So-
apparently not. Apparently you don't know what
I
you're
was just
doing.
thinking Steve or whatever from The Office. No.
Yeah. that makes too much sense. So we're filing a big class action lawsuit. So now these attorneys are out shopping. They want anyone that's ever bought a home
Good
that's contacted a Zillow agent, they want them included
Are they
in
just
this lawsuit.
bored? Like, are they just
No,
like,
they want hundreds of
looking?
millions of dollars
They're
is what
just
they
like
want.
digging for a
They're
lawsuit.
not bored. They're trying to get to $1 billion here. So when the consumers click contact agent on a listing, they think that they're reaching the seller's agent, but actually they're connecting to a Zillow affiliated agent. Like it's you got the bad guy, I guess. So up to 40% of this commission goes back to Zillow in hidden fees. So Zillow's facing a class action lawsuit from that. This lawsuit seeks to represent all U.S. consumers who purchase a home listed on Zillow between September 19th, 2021 through present day.
Listed on Zillow, as in anybody's listing
So
that went out to that,
if your home was listed, which is literally every home
God,
ever,
that's such a money grab.
except for the other lawsuits
'Cause
that
that's
are
not
broiled in
their-
now with Compass.
But it's
like,
not their homes. It's other. Are you guys
Right.
with me, or am I just delusional here?
I don't know if I'm following. what
Because
you're saying.
they're saying any house that was listed on Zillow
yeah,
is going to be affected by it.
yeah,
right, because that consumer was deceived.
Yeah, but
Oh, is that how long
what if
the
that
flex-
consumer
Oh.
didn't use Zillow?
Is that how
To
long
buy
the
the
flex?
house.
Because is that how long the
Right.
flex program has been
What if
out
they
since
use
that date?
Maybe,
Realtor.com
yeah.
to buy
Oh,
the
maybe
house?
that's why.
That
Okay.
could
That
be.
home is still listed on Zillow.
Well,
so is that
you just gave me an
part of it?
idea. They're going to add Realtor.com onto this lawsuit,
They
Homes.com,
might as well
everybody
add
else
every
too.
website on there.
Yeah,
then.
so it's all kind of crazy then.
I'm all-
There's a bunch more here. I know we're tight on time here. Well, this will go on forever here, but there's still that lawsuit they have with Compass because they're not putting Compass listings on there then too. So that's all happening. And there was another lawsuit. What was the other one? They're currently, I don't know, there was so many. I need more paper, I guess, apparently. So, but yeah, some of the reactions here real quick. So David Boyden, I don't know who you are, David, but $6,500 is Zillow per month, every month on the front end, and then
Whoa.
40 to 60% of it on the back end. Where do we sign up? You know? And then there's Ashley, Mark Safe from Ever Buying Leads. I closed 50 or more a year and sold over 550 homes in 15 years. So congratulations, Ashley. No, have to buy. We buy leads. All right. We do all of it. So, and then Catherine Clark, 20 years experience here and having talked to many home buyers, they have no idea they are being rerouted to an agent that's not only not the listing agent, but might know nothing about the house, town,
Yeah.
or area, that they are a flex agent paying for placement.
Yep.
So,
I agree with that one.
and then Jenny, last comment here. Someone needs to stop these ridiculous lawsuits where the attorneys make and appear that they're working on behalf of the consumer, but in reality, they're really working for their own best interests. I could argue that a lot. I mean, I like that they're trying to do good things, but at the end of the day, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars and the consumer's getting $12.
Mhm.
So
They already are struggling to get their down payment, and they've got to buy a new fridge, and they need to paint their front door, and all
yes,
the things.
do all the things then too. So, all right. Well, we're out of time. We got to roll here. We got a bunch more to cover here, but you'll have to step back into the next episode